Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside Out Smile. I'm your host, Dr. Amber Q, and today as you can tell, I'm going to be speaking about real role models, real heroes. Because the thing is that we know that the world is changing at an incredible rate. We know that the world order is changing. We also know that AI is going to change the world in, I think, quite unimaginable ways. And we don't know how that will happen. But the thing that concerns me is, of course, what I've been seeing on social media for, I think we're moving towards the 2-year mark. And the thing is that we're taught to believe that, on the news, we'll see certain things and certain people will win certain awards. But the real heroes aren't always the ones that you see on the news. And we know that because the news is biased on mainstream media. And I keep saying to people that, of course, the main news channels, they're just like big social media account channels, aren't they, of particular individuals. But the question is that, who, and it's not about deserving an award, it's just about something deeper than that. When we look at, who should be our role models, right? They should be people with courage, people with compassion, people with strong ethics. And where do we see this? Well, we see this in Palestine. We see people who are so brave, and for some of them, we will never know their names. The images that we've all seen, father or mother shielding his or her child with his own or her body, a mother holding her daughter's hand, father holding his daughter or son's hand as the world shakes about them. Brothers and sisters just pressed together, just trying to protect each other instead of running away. There have been so many stories that I've seen where one child has gone to get something for another child and they've lost their life or limbs during that process. And honestly, although Hollywood has taught us to think that, hey, heroes are people with capes or medals, and, social media has taught us that, hey, heroes are people that have millions of followers. But in Palestine, the real heroes are the ones who keep showing up, even when it would be easier to hide. And also lately, of course, we've had the Freedom Flotilla that's just, I think, set sail again. And who is on there? It's just ordinary people. They're just students, mothers, teachers, doctors, and they're risking everything to bring food, medicine, and hope. Not because they have to, but because they cannot look away. And of course, who can forget the journalists who keep filming, even when the situation is just, literally, obviously their lives are at risk. So many journalists have lost their lives. And the medics who are working, not just the medics who are in Palestine, but the medics who are going to volunteer there, who, their hands must be shaking with fear, but they're still steady enough to save a life. Compassion is honestly a kind of courage that most people never see, but we're all witnessing it. And then we're witnessing it on social media, but of course we're only seeing a certain amount of people on social media. There are many that we don't see. The ones who share the last piece of bread, the ones who sing, if they have bread, the ones who sing to their children at night or day or when they're scared. The ones who are just, just showing kindness and compassion, not just to humans, but to animals as well. We've seen all the animals that are suffering in Palestine. And, you know, I think the thing is, we've all been told that bravery is about being fearless, but we know that bravery and courage is about being scared and yet still choosing to care. And I think that, I mean, I've had a homeless clinic, and that was a very humbling experience, to treat people who were homeless. And what I would say is that sometimes the smallest act of care is the loudest act of resistance. The world wants us to believe that only powerful people can make a difference, but we're seeing the opposite. We're seeing people who refuse to stop caring, people who are going to change everything, people on the Freedom Flotilla, can't get my words out today, and, you know, people who are real heroes, like Gary Lineker. I mean, if you're in Britain, you'll know who Gary Lineker is. If you're not in Britain, please look him up. He is essentially a ex-footballer who had an amazing career. I don't know much about football, but there are a couple of people that I do know about who are amazing people, and Gary Lineker is one of them. So essentially, he made that move from footballer to presenter, and he's always just had such a wonderful ethical stance towards inequity. And he's spoken up about refugees before, and essentially the BBC got rid of him. But that was a bad move, because now he can speak unopposed. And he's just amazing. So he's a hero as well. So I guess what I want to say on this episode is that if you're listening to this, you might feel helpless if you know what's happening. If you don't know what's happening, please read from an unbiased source. And I think most people in the world know what is happening and can see what is happening. But please just look up Gabor Mate, look up prominent Jewish voices who are speaking up. And if you know what's happening, as most people hopefully do, you might feel helpless and you might wonder what you can do. But every single act of care matters. Every time you share a story, every time you refuse to look away, even though it's really hard, every time you show compassion over comfort, you also become part of the story. You also become a real hero. And, you know, maybe that's the most radical thing any of us can do. So if you want to help, just start where you are, share what you can, speak up, even if your voice shakes. Because the world doesn't just need more heroes, it needs more people who remember what it means to be human. I do believe this is going to become even more important. And bravery, as I said, isn't just about not feeling fear, it's about doing it anyway. And that's why when I see those images of parents protecting their children, neighbours or friends trying to, the ones that are still, breathing, trying to hold each other up, I remember that the greatest power that we have is our choice to care. Because even the smallest act of compassion can be the biggest act of courage. So please share stories, donate if you can. Even if you donate $1, £1, €1. Sorry, I don't know all the currencies of the world. But even if, whatever you do is going to help, because silence is complicity. We've got to make that choice, the choice to care. Until the next episode, let's all create connection and not just change lives, but save lives.